Run through it. This is a presentation about a project between North Herts College and Hertfordshire Constabulary. I'm Ken Baldock. My colleague here is Lynn Milne, one of the senior lecturers from the college. It's about vulnerability. 1 in 4 people with vulnerabilities will suffer abuse sometime. It's how we capture information from those people, and my presentation about a session in a 2-week course to gather information from a possible victim witness. Where's it from? Speaking up for justice. There was no voice for people with vulnerability. They couldn't get the information into the criminal justice system. They weren't able to give information. If you couldn't speak, deemed competent, you would not be able to go to court. You have to go to court to be a witness, a victim, and give that evidence. Speaking up for justice was trying to change all that. And what happened was the government looked at a review based around speaking up for justice from the different strands of the organisations, the courts, the police, social services, trying to bring that together to help the organisations work. What they came up with was a guidance called Achieving Best Evidence, and that covered how police interviewers should try and gather information from people with vulnerabilities. It deals with children who are under 17, but also vulnerable adults, but within children, vulnerability as well. The key feature of Achieving Best Evidence really was issues around the capturing of the information, video interview, and how the interviewers did that. What we found was that we had a problem with the police officers. Hadn't met people with disabilities, were not in a position to have experiences of speaking to people, being able to deal with the communication aspect of the interviews. What I wanted to do was to bring people into it, people with vulnerabilities. At the same time, Lynn was looking for some further experiences for her drama students who have a mixed variety of disabilities. And what we did is we got together to try and work this through and come up with a package of where we could go. So how did we go about that? We spoke to one another and decided a very interactive session. What we do is we get the 2 groups briefed about objectives, what Lynn's students need to achieve and what my students need to achieve. We then bring them together and meet over drinks and biscuits. Important, I'll come back to that. And then we task them with socialising. 10 minutes to talk to one another about different things. For the students, about themselves, about what they do. The police officers, to find out that, but also to work through set objectives from the Achieving Best Evidence information. We bring them back together again. More biscuits, more drinks. A bit more socialising. And then the police officers and the investigators go out, and what we do is we show a video, a short clip of a man running through a park, dropping a shotgun into a bin. Bring the officers back in, and they get together again and go out, and the officers are there to find the information. At the end of that, we come back in. If there's any biscuits and drink left, we go through it again. And then we say our goodbyes to the students, which is always a shame because it's always a rush to get people back for their vehicles to take them back home. My students stay on for 30 minutes and we look at the debrief of the interviews that they've carried out. What worked, what didn't work, those sort of things. So we try to bring it together. What's innovative about it? It's been done before, but it was always very one-sided. We had people coming in, students, people with vulnerability. It was always geared towards the police officers or the investigators, not the people that we're dealing with. The key part of this is getting them engaged, empowering them to be able to talk to people they haven't met before, more formal situations, and particularly police investigators. Difficult for people who are able, without communication disabilities, but that's what we're trying to do. For the police officers to meet and socialise with people who have disabilities, because think about your own selves, how often do you meet and speak with people with disabilities? It's an issue of confidence. We don't do it. We don't have the opportunity. So we get them to do that. We get them to assess the person's communication ability, to bring that together. We then look at how they are applying the achieving best evidence. That's our innovation, getting it a partnership, working together. The impact, confidence. As you can see from some of the feedback that's gone through, they're from the students who have participated. Very positive, the outcome. Confidence to go on further once the course is over. We have assessed training interviews at the end. They've got confidence in dealing with people with communication disabilities. So we're looking at them utilising that information. Some of the problem areas that we had, we go back to timing with students. The biscuits and the drinks. We started off with them there and hoping to use them later on. But of course, the focus of attention for many people, drinks and biscuits. It's only a minor one, but it really did focus them away from what we were after. So we play around with it. Biggest insight, working with the college, listening to one another, what we want to achieve, what the college wants to achieve, trying to bring that together to get an outcome. When we try to introduce new things, will it work, won't it work, what might be the problems, can we look at changing them around, and it seems to work quite well. Anecdotes, feedback, as you've seen, has been very good. Parts of it have been very interesting. One we do get is for the students to choose who they want to talk to give them some empowerment to be able to make a decision. We had one group of 2 people. The police investigator very worried. The person who chose him had quite difficult, severe communication difficulties. What they do, come back, big smiles. Able to get a lot of information from the video. Able to use the techniques that they've been trained with during the 2 weeks. What brought home for one student was a reality of literal thinking. So people with autism on the autistic spectrum, very little literal thinkers. Raining cats and dogs, it is. Came back, said, it brought it home to me when I asked the person, how big were they? And they said, that big. Because of course, how big was the person? That big from the video. So it brought home to our students the difficulty with communication, the correct words, to be able to speak to that person to get the information. Has it worked? Yes, it has. As you can see from the feedback, the students are very much into it. Use it during the assessed interviews. For the police, it's confidence in dealing with people, being able to speak and get the information. Very important. We go back to the beginning, best evidence. Then an opportunity to actually give their evidence in court. Very powerful. For the students, this was an unexpected result. We thought it was going to be a drama session. Very soon it became apparent that the people that we're dealing with were very vulnerable. What we then had to do was move it to then start looking at safekeeping of people. So what can we incorporate into it to make people safe? We go back to the 1 in 4. Likelihood of abuse, very high. They've got to be able to tell someone. So we have probably around about 80 to 90 students from the college run through each year. We have probably around the same, about 80 to 90 students run through our interview courses through that year. The knock-on effect really for people with vulnerability to be able to come forward and talk, to be able to give their information. And we've had examples of people from the college who after the sessions have unfortunately been subject to abuse and been able to come forward and speak to the police, smoothed out the way really by the sessions that we've had, and then being able to feel that they can come forward to talk to us. Where do we go from here? Still continuing on. Our next course is on the 18th of May, and we've got a new group of students coming in, and we shall see how they work with ours. But it's always an interesting day that we run through. So thank you very much for listening, and we will field any questions that we can. So thank you.